Hello, everybody. Phoenix Vincent here, owner of Rocky Mountain Oils, as well as 7 Windows into the Feminine, on a mission to help empower women in completely innovative ways and waking you up to who you are and your unique identity. So today we are supposed to be talking with Marja Simon about the relationship between fear and flow. And if you haven't watched the Facebook Live, the YouTube Live, we did it on multiple channels that we did a few weeks ago, go watch that first. Because some of you know I often make fun of the term flow when it comes to feminine energy because it's used so generically. And it doesn't actually create an understanding of who we are and how to navigate life and femininity. It's a very vague term that ends up having people just flitting around doing nothing. And Marja came in and completely destroyed that thought process in me by showing me how it can actually be a formula, a 5-step formula. And she references Abraham Hicks as well as her own just genius at creating clarity when it comes to words and when it comes to processes. And it was an incredible live. I highly encourage you. It has been something that has shifted a lot of things in me just ever since I did it. I look at life a little differently, and I definitely am seeing, even just in that short amount of time since we did it, I have been seeing a greater ability to stay in a positive space as I focus on what I want instead of what I don't want. And there's less resistance towards moving forward with my goals. And so it has been very impactful for me. And I don't just say that lightly. There's plenty of people out there teaching beautiful things that I do not give this level of credit to. So I highly recommend you watch it. And after the broadcast, we spoke for a little bit afterwards, and it was a very beautiful conversation we had where we talked about, I said to her, I said, okay, so you talked about flow, and you talked about this idea of, getting into what feels right and what feels aligned. And I said, I have a question though, because I've met a lot of people where they make all their decisions off of whether or not it feels good. But how do you know the difference between that feel aligned or not aligned and just, quite frankly, fear? Because fear will get in our way. Fear will get in our way, and it will cause us to think that something is a problem when it's just we're not certain. We're afraid of rejection. We're afraid of failure. Fear will keep us from actually growing, and our soul's desire is to grow. And so this idea that something has to always feel good is contrary to growth. Some of the best things in my life didn't feel good before I did them. Skydiving was a radically transformational experience for me. It did not feel good getting ready to jump out of that plane. And so there's a difference between finding that alignment and that part and that piece of flow, and also pushing ourselves to grow. And I think where so many get stuck is just stuck in that, well, does it feel good or not? A lot of things that are really good for us don't feel good. So there's a difference between feel good and feeling in alignment and feeling connected. And that's the flow, connected to the ultimate outcome of what we want and not what we don't want. Now, it could also be argued that the principle still stands, because when I was scared to jump out of an airplane, skydiving, I was actually focused on what I didn't want, which was I didn't want to die. And so that would be part of why there was the not feel good. If I was able to completely focus on what I did want, which was what I experienced, the bliss, the freedom, the empowerment, and the transformation. If I was only focused on that, then maybe the feelings would have been different. So this is all just to set a context, because I want to get into this on a much deeper level with Marja when she has the openings in her schedule. But I wanted to touch in on this and not leave anyone hanging, because I want to dispel the things that are holding us back, the false beliefs about what it is to be feminine, what it is to be in flow. because I see so many people that it feels good. It feels really good to say, I'm only going to honor what feels good. It does. It feels so good. And some of us women need a moment to just feel good because we're so busy beating up on ourselves and pushing ourselves that we forget that we're allowed to feel good. But long term, it doesn't always promote growth. And so what Marja and I will discuss when we can get this live rescheduled is how those can work together, how they're not actually in conflict. How do we tune in to that power and to that ability to find flow? And so I will touch bases with her and we will create a new time for this broadcast. And I hope that this starts to get some thinking going. And by all means, please, 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 if you haven't watched the previous broadcast, watch that because it will give you a ton of context and an incredible enlightenment. And I hope that everyone has a beautiful weekend and a beautiful 4th of July if you celebrate, and that you continue to find your path and your purpose and your powerful identity.